How do we measure electrical phenomena? All right, that's the question for today. How are you doing? I'm Thomas, and welcome to my channel. I do primarily educational videos on all kinds of different topics, things that I think are important for people to know, that I, as a researcher, have had the good fortune to stumble across, and in many cases, in the stacks of some library or in the corners of the internet, and most people haven't stumbled across these things, and so I just want to share them because I think that many of them are of great interest and great benefit to people. One of the main things that I work on is this thing called the Tree of Life, and this is a model of our faculties of consciousness. It's got 10 different circles that are numbered 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then there is an implied circle or sphere here called the abyss. And then there is a 0 above the tree. So that makes a total of 12 different categories or 12 different faculties of consciousness. Usually they're broken down as a 10 is our animal consciousness. This is our, the survival instinct and fight or flight. Also a condition of our body or the health of our body. You find yourself in the 10th sphere is if you are, if your life is being threatened. And then the 9th sphere is what we get when we're really growing up in our home. The first 5 years or maybe a little bit more of our lives. And we are highly receptive to what's going on in our environment, and we, especially to our caregivers, and we observe what they do, and then we copy it, we imitate it in our own behavior. We memorize what they do and we copy it. So, the memory and imitation. The 8th sphere is kind of similar because it does involve some kind of imitative impulse, because what this is whereas the 9th sphere is about our domestic, our home life, this is about the public sphere. So this is once we go out, we go to school, and we learn from the experts, whether it's our teachers or our preachers or the news media or just kind of the word on the street, the common sense. Usually, though, it's more experts, and they tell us the conventional wisdom. And then they tell us that we're supposed to believe that. And to the extent that we believe that, we're able to easily assimilate into society. And so we learn to believe what they say and to rationalize what they say. So even when it's kind of proven to us that what they say is false, we kind of come up with some kind of rationalization or an excuse to justify why we still have that belief and we don't let go of it. So the 8th sphere is also a lot about the status quo, preserving the status quo. The 7th sphere is a little bit different because where the 8th sphere is really like the real world, the 7th sphere is the imaginary world. So this is for people who maybe don't have that kind of rationalization of the 8th sphere. They see problems with the 8th sphere, and they kind of come over here and they say, let me do something about that. I want to correct some of the errors that are here in the 8th sphere. So they come over here and they use their creative impulse, their creative juices, and they come up with artistic artifacts and also inventions to improve upon what's going on in the 8th sphere. So this is for our, this is our pleasure principle, our creative spark, this is our intuitive spark, and our inspiration. And the inspiration, a lot of times, the inspiration comes from people acting up here, they inspire us. And that inspiration is the 1%, and then the 99% of it is the climb on the spiritual path up into these upper areas. So the seventh sphere is kind of a wedge that gets us up into the higher aspects of the tree. And the first one that we have to climb to is to fulfill the sixth sphere, which is our free will faculty. Now, normally we're at the sixth sphere in general. If there was a map of, if this was a map, it would say you are here. But the problem is that our free will faculty is our ability to pay attention and to make decisions. And we generally, in our normal state, we are paying attention to our lower aspects, to our conditionings, to our old belief systems, to what we picked up from blind imitation, and even our survival. And so we're paying attention down the tree. Here at the sixth sphere, we make the decision to move around and to face the upper parts of the tree where our spiritual aspects are located. So this is really the great move that we have to make spiritually, is to stop putting all of our attention on the lower spheres and to tune in to what's going on in the higher spheres. A lot of times this is the past tense and this is the present tense, or even the future. But the future sometimes is over here, but we're paying attention into now. And that's kind of the battle there at the sixth sphere. Now 5 and 4 are our they work together, and they are, really having to do with the natural law. The natural law is enforced here at the fifth sphere. This is, what's known as karma. What comes around goes around. As you sow, so shall you reap. And it also, it's our sense of justice, and in particular, like nonviolence. Karma is really somewhat of a synonym for violence. It basically just means waste or violence, and that when we commit that, we accrue karma. And so here we're kind of learning to cut down our karma, and the fifth sphere is all about cutting. The iconography in the ancient Egyptian, which is where the tree of life originated, is a blade, is a sword. But because this is the god of war, but it's the god of ending wars. And so we use the blades on ourselves to cut our conditionings and to cut our attachments. So the fifth sphere is a lot about cutting attachments, and then being able to kind of lower our karma as a result. And then the fourth sphere is really the articulation of the law in a cosmology or a book or a theory of everything, something that is the result of long periods of observation, investigation, experimentation, and experience that allows us to make certain proclamations about how the universe works, how everything ties together. It's a holistic system. It purports to talk about everything, a theory of everything, or a grand unified theory. Okay, then the abyss is about our psychic powers, our ability to tune into and recognize omens, and then to be able to act upon them. Those are two components: psychic receptivity and psychic heat. And the omens are usually in the form of highly coincidental things, synchronicities, and recurring visions, recurring numbers, recurring words, things that happen at the same time, just anything that's uncanny. And that's the language that the universe is using to communicate to you that something is important. Again, this is similar or analogous to the concept of charge. It's a charged object. Whereas, it's really like a magnetically charged object, whereas an electrically charged object is more like an emotion. And the emotions really occur here at the junction of the 10th and the 9th sphere. Okay, that is a subject for a later video. Okay, then 3, 2, and 1 are our divine faculties that are within. And this is omnipotence, omniscience, and omnipresence. All-powerful, all-knowing, and all-present all the time, everywhere, eternally. This, we tap into our power through sound synchronization, especially mantra, or for example, mantra. And then we tap into wisdom through being able to turn our mind, shut our minds off, or at least be able to ignore the content of our thinking process. We still can observe the thinking, but it doesn't pull us hither and thither. Like we think something and then we started a chain of reasoning from there. We have to be able to lay off that so that we can tune into the deeper, calmer vibrations that will allow us to have solutions emerge. The second sphere, omniscience, all-knowing, is called wisdom, and it's the being able to solve all your problems. And then the first sphere, omnipresence. This is what unites everything. This is unifying. We all have this. It's at our deepest center, and the thing that is at my deepest center is the exact same thing that is at your deepest center. So if we go all the way into our deepest center, we commune with everything. We are in touch with everything. And this is usually represented by geometrical forms, especially this thing called the vector equilibrium, or it's also known as the cube octahedron, which is just one part of what's known as the isotropic vector matrix. These are parts of synergetic geometry from Buckminster Fuller. And then the zero sphere above the tree is really the mystery and the nothingness of the universe. But it's part of the creator and part of the creator, but it is the part of the creator that we don't have any direct access to. So we experience this part of the creator, but we do not experience this part of the creator, or you can even call it insperience of the creator. So those are the 12 different faculties of consciousness. Now, what I've done with my model is I've taken the whole tree, which you say you can, the experts, the expert opinion on the tree says that you can apply the tree to anything, and you can break anything down to its 12 component parts. So that's what I've done with each one of the 12 component parts, is I've applied the whole tree to it. So I've broken each one of the 12 component parts into 12 more, another level of depth. So you end up with 144 separate, what I call stages of life. They're faculties of consciousness, but they're fractal faculties. So they're 144 different stages of life, where the stages aren't so much chronological, but they are dramatic stages. And I've compiled those in a list. And if you click the link in the description, I will send you a free copy of that list. And that will help you to kind of refer back and compare and contrast things that I cover in these videos, because each video is going to be covering one of the 144 different stages. So today we are looking at stage number 32, and stage number 32 is locked here into the A sphere, and it is the abyss aspect of the A sphere. Now, what we talked about the other day is that the abyss here is about electromagnetism. Another thing important about the abyss is sometimes you see this in other depictions of the Tree of Life, but you also see it in what's called the caduceus, the medical symbol, where you have the serpents, going zigzagging or whatever, curling around a staff, and that is coming from the Tree of Life. In the Tree of Life, each one of the parts of our psychic powers, our psychic heat and psychic receptivity, are depicted as snakes. One is a hot snake and one is a cool snake. The cool snake is the receptivity, and the hot snake is the heat, the psychic heat, which is the courage that we need to act upon those omens. And so those two snakes are entwined in each other in the caduceus and in some depictions of the Tree of Life, but that's really where it comes from. And those snakes also, can be said to describe DNA and the spiral. And here, when we look at the diagram, the abyss is related to the magnetic aspects of electromagnetism, where the abyss fractals are related to the electrical aspects. So, each one of the spheres has an abyss aspect to it. When you put the whole tree onto each one of the spheres, you're putting, each one of the different spheres onto each one of the, the major spheres. So you're putting a minor aspect onto it. So each one of the spheres has a minor aspect that is related to the abyss. That is where the electrical phenomena come in. So the eighth sphere, the abyss fractal of the eighth sphere, is related to electrical phenomena. And this is where what you call electrical units. Stage 32 is about the ways to measure the physical effects of the electric motions. All electric phenomena can be measured in units of space and time only. Many electrical units have magnetic analogs, whose units are increased by a time over space factor from their electric counterparts. 1D nature of electric charge and a 2D nature of magnetic charge, or really even just electric phenomena and magnetic phenomena, because there are many both electrical and magnetic phenomena that are uncharged. The universe is made out of motion, and motion is the relationship between space and time. Everything in the universe is expressible as a relation between space and time. Space and time are identical to each other, except that they are reciprocals of each other. They both progress, and they both have 3 scalar or directionless dimensions. Space is measured in distance. Time is measured in angle or degrees. Inductance is t to the third power, time to the third power over space to the third power. It resists change in current, equivalent to inertia or mass. Mass is the point-based measurement of space, whereas inductance is the plane-based measurement of equivalent space, or really the inverse of time. The gap between points, or force fields, is the equivalent space. So mass and inductance are the same thing with the same units, but they're just out of phase by 90 degrees. Same as space and time, they're out of phase by 90 degrees. But we only see space, we do not see time. So what we see in time is non-local, whereas we see space as points in space. We can see the points, but we don't see in time. We only we see that as being non-local, or non. It doesn't have a location, or it has all locations. Capacitance is space to the third power over time. A capacitor is a wound-up spring. The concepts of inductance and capacitance are the way we interpret mass in time, or inverse mass, or cosmic mass. Resistance is space to the second power over time to the third power. And resistance impedes the flow of direct current. Electrostatic resistance is simply the inverse momentum. There is real resistance and there is imaginary resistance called reactance. Reactance wants to prevent alternation of current. Impedance is the complex form of resistance plus reactance. Basically, the net result of the capacitors, inductors, and resistors in the circuit. Permittivity is space to the second power over time. It is the resistance encountered when forming an electric field in a medium. Current is S over T. Current is the number of electrons present in the wire. Electrons can be charged or uncharged, which is a major departure from legacy science. This is all coming from the reciprocal system of theory, or the reciprocal system 2. The first was originated by Dewey B. Larson in the middle of the 20th century, mid to late 20th century. And then in this century, Dr. Bruce Perret has refined his system, taken out a few of the small errors that Larson has made, and been able to move the theory quite a bit forward from there. Unfortunately, both of them are deceased at this point. We're trying to pick up the pieces. Voltage is T over time over space to the second power. It's the ratio of charged to uncharged electrons. Alternating current may alternate, but it is alternating voltage, not current. The current remains constant. Only the potential difference over a unit of length changes. Voltage is a potential. It's like a slope. Multiply in a T over S factor from electric units to get to magnetic units. For example, we have some analogs here. Electromotive force is T over S to the second power, whereas magnetic motive force is T to the second power over S to the third power. Electric field intensity is T over S to the third power. And magnetic field intensity is T to the second power over S to the fourth power. Resistance, electrical resistance, is T to the second power over S to the third power, while permeability is T to the third power over S to the fourth power. But then there are other electrical units that are not do not have magnetic analogs, such as current. Current is S over T. Current density is 1 over ST. And conductivity is S to the second power over T to the second power. You know, you don't need to take notes on this or memorize any of this. This is just kind of for illustrative purposes. But that is more or less how the electrical system works in the reciprocal system. And that all fits in to the fractals, the abyss fractals of the tree. So all the abyss fractals are related to electrical phenomena, and the abyss fractal itself is related to magnetic phenomena. The two together make electromagnetism, and the abyss is representative of that. As we said the other day, in a lot of versions of Tree of Life and Kabbalah, there is no abyss, and the abyss is represented as as all the lines between the different spheres. So different people have had different ways of trying to describe this, but the point is that the psychic powers that we have are related to electromagnetism, magnetic phenomena, especially charges. Magnetic charges are related to omens or synchronicities, and they're pointing out important things for us. And so that is really, I guess, the gist of stage number 32. Now, if you, again, would like to get a free copy of my list of 144 fractal faculties, just send that out. Click the link in the description, and I will send it out to you for free. And you can also click the like button, share, and subscribe, and enjoy your day. Thank you.